All right.
Alright, so at my name is Benjamin. At 7:06 p.m., Mr. Patton said, Mr. Lockett died in the execution chamber of a heart attack, administered at 6:23 p.m. 10 minutes later, the doctor announced that Mr. Lockett was unconscious. So by 6:33, he was unconscious. And the team started to administer the next two drugs. At 6:37, just 4 minutes later, he tried to rise and exhaled loudly. At this point, officials pulled a curtain in front of the witnesses, and the doctors covered a vein failure. So from 6:37 to 7:06, Lockett had received the second part of the execution, which is the drug pancuronium bromide, also known as Pavilin, which inhibits all musculoskeletal movements and by paralyzing the diaphragm stops respiration. So for about 40 minutes he felt everything that they gave him. So for 40 minutes he was choking in his death rather than not feeling anything, as most lethal injections are supposed to happen. The problem is that his execution was botched. Me and Gabriel want to talk today about the death penalty and how the U.S. should abolish it, because because the death penalty is immoral. I have given you already an example of the way that Mr. Lockett died in his execution, but that the type of death is not the only immoral thing about this. There's also other reasons to why this is immoral. The state is not allowed to practice vengeance for the victim. Ivan Simonovich, Special Advisor to the United Nations Secretary, says laws exist to prevent individuals from pursuing vengeance and their own vision of justice. If they do anyway, then they become perpetrators and pay the price both legally and morally. So if we make laws to prevent people from doing vengeance, why are we letting the state do it for us? Also, physicians are being asked to perform these executions. California Medical Association stated in 2006 that a physician, as a member of profession, is dedicated to preserving life when there is hope of doing so, and should not participate in legally authorized executions of it. So that's the immoral part of the death penalty. But we also inherit problems because of the death penalty. Innocent people might be executed. In 2000, Russ Feingold, the U.S. Senator of Wisconsin, said, since the reinstatement of the modern death penalty in 1972, 87 people have been freed from death row because they were later proven innocent. That is demonstrated that the error rate of one innocent person for every 7 people executed. Alex Binder of the New York Times says in 2015 of an incident in Alabama that nearly 30 years after the Alabama authorities relied on an analysis of a handgun and bullets to send him to death row, Anthony Ray Hinton was freed on Friday after experts undermined the state's case. Mr. Hinton is the 152nd person exonerated from an American death row since 1973. So these are people that are on death row and have been for many years and have been proven innocent, but in other cases, if they would have been executed sooner, they wouldn't have been proven their innocence. Also, we inherit the cost of the death penalty. The longer trial preparations, says Charles M. Harrison, make the cost of the death penalty increased compared to keeping the prisoner in prisoner for life. The annual cost of the death penalty in the state of California is 137 million compared to the cost of lifetime incarceration, or 11.5 million. In California, since 1983 to 2006, the average cost has been 1 million more per trial than the cost of average non-death penalty homicide trials. Instead of inheriting these problems, we should focus on solving them. We should use the extra money to prevent crimes from the grassroots of the problem. The death penalty was created to be tough on crime, but I think that doesn't help. I think we should be tough on crime on the grassroots, meaning that we should go to the bottom, going into the children, preventing them from and being criminals. What we can do right now is just abolish the death penalty, keep life in prison, but we should focus on using the money that we save from the death penalty to give more funds to our education. Benton County Sheriff Steve King said he has spent more than 20 years in law enforcement dealing with offenders who often talk about not getting a good education as the start of their path down to the wrong road. It becomes very clear to us that we need to invest in programs to prevent kids from being criminals in the first place. If we invest now, if we don't invest now, we're going to continue to pay later. The Alliance for Excellent Education says in 2013 that the nation could save as much as $18.5 billion in annual crime costs if the high school male graduation rate increased by only 5 percentage points. Thank you.